our first Take Action Day as part of Take Action Project. So my name is Jennifer Williams. I'm here with my partner in Taking Action, Koen Timmers in Belgium, and we're so excited to have an incredible lineup of student presenters starting right now with Miss Bassett in Thailand. So we'll have 30-minute presentations for the whole day. We'll also have our keynote presentation at 9 a.m. Eastern. So Koen, you want to say a few words before we turn it over to Maya?
Hello from Belgium. It's noon in Belgium, and I'd like to thank everybody for being present today. Wishing you a most wonderful day today with a lot of inspiring presentation and then the keynote. I want to thank Jen because we're doing everything together, basically, as a good partnership. But this is basically, it's basically Jen who made this happen. So thank you so much, Jen. Good luck.
Thank you, Koen. All right, so we have our very first session with, I think, our youngest group of students that are going to be sharing with us today, all the way from Thailand. And this is the ISE International School and their presentation today, sharing on the work that they've done, incredible work. If you haven't checked out Maya's Padlet, you'll have to share or look at that. Hopefully she can share that in the chat box as we go. So their presentation is Sharing the Planet, the Struggle to Share the Environment as it Impacts Living Things. So Maya, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Can I share screen with everybody so I can go through the Padlet as a timeline?
Yes, please do. The share screen button is on the bottom in the center. Are you able to see that?
I'm in the iPad, so I have it in a different one.
Oh, okay.
But with remote teaching, we've become a bit experts with Zoom. So I will share the Padlet so we can tell you the story of how the unit of inquiry developed with 7 and 8-year-old children in 2nd grade in an international diversity of children from all over the world. And we work with the Primary Years Program, which is a foundation for the International Baccalaureate. And this unit is one of my favorite ones because it covers how we interact with our environment. And I'm going to share with all of you right now my screen. And this Padlet actually connects from our prior unit of inquiry, which was how the world works. So usually the units kind of tied together and they get connected together. So the last part of how we organize ourselves was for the children to try to understand how the cities are built and how the economic activity affects what's happening in our lives. I'm waiting for this to launch. And if it doesn't work, it's completely fine. We'll give it a couple of seconds. But in essence, it really came into a really good timing because as we were exploring the unit, COVID started happening. And we are in a part of Thailand that has a lot of tourism because we're by the beach. So this started affecting the economic activity and the children were able to see how the world was changing so rapidly. The Padlet is not working yet. So, oh, here it is. Yeah. Dr. Williams, do you see the Padlet? So I know if everybody can see it. Katie and Latte, do you see the board, the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So, so as I was explaining, the first 2 parts of the timeline show how the children illustrated the city of Pattaya. Okay, it's saying that the screen stopped sharing, but I think it continues. So then from this, we transition in sharing the planet. And we started exploring what does sharing the planet means. And that's when the Take Action Project, I saw it on Twitter and I said, this is perfect. So this tapped into the question, what kind of world do we want to create? And the children recorded their answers in a video that's also part of the Padlet. I'm not going to show it right now because we don't have the time. But the key concepts that the children were exploring in an inquiry-based approach was connection, reflection, and responsibility. Since we have been working in the Goals Project, the children were able to really connect to goal number 12, responsible consumption and production of things. From here, in the inquiry cycle, we started sorting out animals, learn a little bit more about animals. And then we got into the first question, which was the connection to self. How are animals being treated? Are they being protected? Are they being treated fairly? And that's a very important question here in Southeast Asia. Parker, do you want to hop in and tell us a little bit what happens to animals here sometimes?
Yeah. So what happens is their habitats are getting teared down, and I have a little saying that I like to say to some people, and it's that when we tear down their habitat, it is like we're tearing down our habitat too. So, and it hurts them because they have feelings too, and it's not only us. So, yeah.
And we also learned that there's some animals that are taken into zoos to be pet, and they get medicines to sedate them. So obviously they're not being treated fair, as we can see here in the pictures. So the children then were able to sort out animals in being treated fairly and not being treated fairly. And then we got into the part of, well, what's happening to the polar bears? What is happening to the polar bears right now, Parker?
It's getting really hot, so their ice is melting, and when it breaks, they're out into cold water, and then their little iceberg melts. So then they fall into the water and they drown. So that's what is happening to polar bears right now.
Thank you, Parker. Latte, can you explain kind of that cause-effect situation that's happening, why the Earth is warming up?
So why the Earth is warming up, because we're using like energy. So energy is like the light, for example, and the light makes something, so it makes the world hotter, and then the heat melts the ice in the habitat.
Mm-hmm. So we are not being very much responsible in the way we're consuming fossil fuels and coal, and then of course plastic, which again brought us to the question coming into the local part of things and social inclusion. When we came home to learn from home, everything changed because we were not together and the dynamics changed. So I asked the children, does it look like we're hibernating that now that we're staying home? And Gaia, what did you say about that?
I said yes, because since there's the virus, people are starting to shop a lot, and so that's kind of what animals do when they hibernate. And my family now is starting to take a lot of naps.
So now we stay at home, but then Latte said not really. Why not, Latte?
Because we're still doing our daily stuff, like we're still playing and we're still learning. So it's not really like we're just hibernating.
So we always tap into the perspective of how we feel about things based on our background and how it is okay to have a different perspective. So to conclude that phase of having social inclusion, then we concluded that animals are not being treated fairly. And my plan was to do a collage with what the kids had visualized, but at this point, since we're online, all we can do is do things digitally. So they went on Seesaw, which is a platform they use for, and they drew how they see things not being treated fair, animals not being treated fairly and humanely. And then we put all this together to recap on the dimension of going local and really looking at what's happening in our environment. From there, we went into our shared humanity, the collective dimension, and what is the power of collective action. Well, from here, we transition into a little bit of our writing skills, and the children started thinking how to write persuasive texts. So they each picked one of the animals that is endangered. Katie, do you want to give us a little bit of explanation of what endangered means?
Okay. Endangered means like you're kind of like when pretend a polar bear, right? And there is like very warm and the ice melts, almost the ice melts. That's called endanger.
Okay, can you expand a little bit more on that, Latte?
Okay,
Is it
so
exactly the same as extinct?
not really. It's just like a lot of them are gone, like from the world, and so there's only a few species of them in the world left. So that's what endangered means.
Thank you. And we also touched on some animals that have already been extinct. There's a bird. Parker, do you remember the name of the bird that we can't really see anymore?
A dodo bird.
A dodo bird, right. So the children started planning a persuasive writing using a format where they have reasons. They have their own personal reasons why we need to protect the animal, but they also have to come up with a fact. And a fact is something that is true. And a fact is something that we have researched. And so the children put this information together and they turn it into posters that went online to create more awareness. So we can see Parker's poster. She picked the orangutan, and she'll explain a little bit more of why the orangutan is endangered. And I had other children do the polar bear, the panda bears. I had a Thai student pick the elephant. Even though the elephant is not endangered, there is high concern for the way elephants are treated in Thailand when they're used for entertainment or when their tusks are used for jewelry. I had a student from Japan talk about the moon bears. Lotte chose the sea turtle, and then Gaia and Katie and another girl chose the tapir, which is a very interesting animal, and Gaia and Katie will tell you a little bit more about that. From there, we went into creating more of a universal awareness using innovation, science, and technology. And this was the perfect time since we are online. So each child developed the ideal habitat for their animal. So we can see Gaia has the tapir and Latte he decided to show the ocean in a treasure chest. And here's Parker's orangutan habitat. And then we have Katie's here. She has another tapir habitat. The children like to document their learning, and it's a very important part of using technology with a purpose and a way to document the process as opposed to just the product. So they really enjoy doing that. They do it on their own in the Clips app. And I'm gonna turn it to Gaia to tell us a little bit about the tapir, and I'll go through each one of you. So tell us a little bit about the tapir. Why is it endangered?
The tapirs are endangered because we have been cutting down the trees and making roads, so they get roadkill. And
And where are they more specifically? In Asia and where else?
Asia, they're in North, South America, and they live in the mountains of Colombia.
Okay. And why are tapirs important for our environment, Gaia?
Because they're the gardeners of the forest. They make plants. They eat leaves and fruits, and then they poop it out with the seeds, and then they grow more.
Mm-hmm. So Gaia did the taper. Katie, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the taper, since you already also did the taper with Gaia?
Okay. The taper is the gardener of the forest, and also if we kill them, we will be kind of like not breathing well, because trees make oxygen for us to breathe too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Katie. Lata, do you want to tell us why you decided to show your ocean in a treasure chest habitat?
So the ocean in the treasure chest idea was because restoring the ocean was hard. So it was a treasure, and the inside of the treasure chest is also clean. There's just yeah.
Okay. And so Latte is very passionate about reading about the Pacific plastic patch that's out there, and he's very concerned about the ocean. And why is plastic so bad for the sea turtle, Latte?
So the plastic is bad for the sea turtle, especially plastic bags, because they think it is jellyfish. And sea turtles like to eat jellyfish.
So what would happen if all the sea turtles are gone?
Like, then it will cause an effect. Huge sharks will start to lose their food because some of them eat sea turtles.
Thank you, Latte. Is there anything you want to add before I go to Parker's project?
No.
Thank
you
you.
can go to Parker.
Thank you. Parker, tell us about the orangutan. Why did you pick it, and what's happening with the orangutans?
I picked the orangutan because I've seen one in real life, and I want them, and they were happy, and I want them to stay that way. So I made a poster about the orangutans. That's why. And what's happening to orangutans is their trees, they're getting torn down, and a lot of times they are they're still alive sometimes, but they're like under trees, like they almost died, and they're extinct because they're only found in, a lot of times they're found in
So what happens if everybody like torns down the palm trees? The palm trees are being torn down in Indonesia, in the area of Sumatra, for palm oil. What will happen to all the orangutans if all those trees are gone?
they are going to be extinct.
And what could be a solution so that people become more responsible consumers and stop cutting these trees, but they can also use another oil?
They can use coconut oil, because you don't cut down trees for coconut oil. You get them from coconuts. So it wouldn't be like you're cutting down trees for palm oil. You have to use coconut oil. It would be better, because then you aren't cutting down any trees and they will not be extinct.
Thank you, Parker. Is there anything else you want to add before we finish our presentation? Okay, so I want to go back to this part of our Padlet, just to give you a little bit of information on how we move and how we scaffold through our learning process. Hopefully it loads up. So our inquiry cycle starts with the tuning in, and the tuning in comes, of course, with the background that the children have from what we're going to explore. When we're finding out more, we're doing a lot of research. We are more hands-on into books and online resources and reading and exploring perspectives. When we're sorting out, this is really where we kind of try to figure out the lines of inquiry. And our lines of inquiry was trying to figure out how we can coexist with different species without making their environment be endangered or in a moment of warning, like we're not being responsible consumers of what we have in this planet. When we're making conclusions, it really shines a light on what the children have learned and how it connects to them and how meaningful is it for them, and especially how valid and relevant it is for us now. Now, the best part is really the last part of the inquiry cycle, which is the taking action part, which is great because it connects to the organization. And really, what are we going to do with this information that we learn? We can't be passive learners. We have to be active learners. And my students are second graders. They are 7 years old. But the most important part is that they are taking action by creating awareness and educating the community and being aware to share this with everybody. And as they grow older, they already have this in them. In the going further, it would be things like, I have a student that tells her parents not to use plastic, to use recyclable bags. Or I have, for example, my daughter is always coming and bringing connections to me about what should we do and what should we not do. So it's really planting the seeds to these children that are really going to take charge of the future that we have in the planet. And I'm proud of Parker, Katie, Latte, and Gaia because they're being risk takers. Some of the kids wanted to participate, but they were a little bit shy. But these 4 students are right now using a lot of communication skills, and they're being risk takers. And this is the part where they're going further and they're sharing with a global community and amplifying their voice. So Gaia, do you have something to share?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Something like why it's important. The unit of inquiry.
Are you saying important to do the unit of inquiry?
Because when we get older, we can share the education we learn, and maybe the people that cut down the trees or kill animals just for decoration, but know more why we can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Gaia. Parker, do you want to last words before we turn it over to the next group?
Nope.
Latte, you're good?
Yep, I'm good.
Katie, do you want to add anything before we turn it into Dr. Williams and the next group?
Nope.
Okay, well, I'm super grateful. The kids are very excited. It's amazing to be part of a global community and to remember that we're all in this together. And now more than ever, we have strong connections right now because we're all with this goal of making a world a better place. Thank you so much, everybody, for being so attentive and for listening to my students.
Thank you, Maya. I think a lot of us, and you probably haven't had a chance to check out all of the comments in the chat box, but everyone is so impressed with not only your knowledge, but your poise as presenters and now international presenters. So sharing your message out with the entire world. So that's quite an accomplishment for your 7-year-old students. A lot of us are also wondering about your t-shirts. Could maybe one of your students share about these shirts you all are wearing in different parts of your community in Thailand?
Let's start. Part of the first project we did with you. The kids designed them. In the back, we have the logo of our school. And then it says support goal 12, responsible consumption and production. This was Parker's idea to put the little logo.
That's a great
here.
idea.
And yeah, so we're always tapping into the sustainable development goals, and it's really awesome to see 7-year-old kids come back from their weekend and tell me that they saw the goal project somewhere, and you know, it leaves the classroom and it makes them be lifelong learners.
Absolutely beautiful. Well, we can't thank you enough and for being brave and sharing your message. And I know you all were flexible and moved your time a little bit. So thank you for that. So Gaia, Latte, Katie, and Parker, outstanding job. Thank you for kicking off our entire day. You're the first presenters, and we are all so grateful for the work that you're doing and taking action. So we hope you're able to continue on and watch as we're going to move to our second presentation of today. So Pramod, are you with me here? We'll look to get your students unmuted, and so we'll just take 1 or 2 minutes and then we'll shift to our next presentation. So thank you again, Maya. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Parker, Latte, and Katie, if you guys want to stay, you're more than welcome to stay. You need to mute yourselves. But if you have dinner or if you have plans with mom and dad, that's totally fine. You can leave the meeting, okay?
Okay. Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye, friends.
Jennifer, shall I start now?
Hi, Pramod. Wonderful to see you.
Yes.
I will, Kun and I can introduce you. Let's just make sure, are all of your students able to share their audio?
Yes, I'll just tell them, hello everyone, just unmute your microphones so that everybody can hear you. I told them actually when I'll tell them, there will be okay. Okay, that's done. All of my students are there and they can share now.
And Pramod, I think I have everyone promoted to co-host, all of your students here. So we'll go ahead.
All there present. I would like to request some audiences to please switch off your microphones as okay, there is a lot of commotion in the background.
So students in Pramod's class, you all should have access to sharing your audio and your video now. If you're not speaking, I think your teacher has requested that you put your microphone on mute, and then when you're ready to speak, you can because I think we have some background noise.
Okay. I request my students to please mute your microphones, and when your turn will be there, then switch on it. Okay, that's better now.
That's so much
thanks,
better.
Jennifer and Cohen, for this great opportunity. And actually, that this is because of the lockdown that I got to know about these Take Action Global. So I need that is the positive side of COVID-19, because for many years we are doing a lot of things that are related to Take Action Global, like plastic banning, then like tree plantation, tree adaptation. But then we were not able to, we didn't put all the efforts into a frame so that students get the exposure globally. And this is now we have got the chance to make our students global representative, and that's only because of you. And so thanks for that. And as we suddenly locked down inside our homes, a lot of my pictures are stuck in the hard disk in my school, so we couldn't get the access. So whatever students were able to do at home, they tried the things and they have made the presentation about the activities. So shall I share my screen and start our presentation? Okay, I'm sharing my screen.
Yes, please go right ahead.
Thank you. Okay, Yash?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Very good morning to all of you. I would like to welcome all of you on behalf of Maharashtra Education Society, Wagire High School, Saswat, India. We are going to present our project. Project Coordinator, Pramod Thube. Our Take Action Global project is all about reduce and replace use of plastic. We are very fortunate to be a part of Maharashtra Education Society, Pune, established in 1860. Our institution has always fostered national education. These are our founders, Vaman Prabhakar Bhave, Vasudev Balwanta Phadke, and Lakshman Narahar Indapurkar. I would like to introduce the participants. Yash Buddhivan, Varun Jagtap, Shivam Kumbharkar, Pranali Shinde, Siddhi Magdum, Pranali Kapre, Netra Jagtap, our Honorable Headmaster, Mr. R.V. Shinde, Facilitator, Pramod Thube. Preamble. Plastic pollution is the accumulation of plastic objects and particles in the earth environment that adversely affect wildlife, wildlife habitat, and human. The chemical structure of most plastic render them resistant to many natural processes of degradation. Some facts about plastic use. More than 480 billion plastic bottles are used worldwide in 2016. World uses 500 billion plastic cups every year. Around the world, people litter more than 4.5 trillion cigarette butts every year. That's why we brainstormed and decided to focus on reducing the use of plastic and replacing it wherever possible. We also focus on two main things. The first was be the change, and the second was small things, big difference. You should be the change that you want to see in others. And even if we are doing something on local level, which might be very small, might make a big difference in the future. Our theme was care about the planet. As you can see, our planet is in a problem of plastic pollution, and all animals, birds, and humans as well are facing the problem. We decided following objectives to be fulfilled by the end: to reduce and replace plastic use in our own day-to-day lives, to share our experiences with our friends and their families to motivate them. We look at this problem from main three perspectives. The first was economical, the second was ecological, and the third is cultural. Now, Varun will present.
While we were working on our projects, we invited Manuela Correa from Portugal to guide us over Skype. Manuela Correa is working on plastic pollution in the sea with her class Plastic Brigade. We came across facts which we were unaware, especially the dreadful effects of plastic on animals and birds. She also motivated us for our project. These are some glimpses of our Skype meeting with Manuela Correa. In this meeting, we also present different side effects of plastic and mismanagement plastic waste polluted countries across the world.
Thank you, Varun. Now, Pranali Kapre will present.
Pranali Kapre. Yes, you go on.
To, to fulfill our goals of reducing and reusing of plastic in our daily lives, we decided to carry out following activities. Make paper bags that we can use and distribute to nearby retailers for packaging. Making posters for awareness against use of plastic. Using banana and banyan leaves for making eco-friendly plates and wrapping food items to store in refrigerator. Stitching cotton bags for house use and to distribute to community. Using dried seeds of wheat plant to replace plastic straw. Using, sorry ma'am, I can see because of the comments. The next was using bamboo for plantation instead of plastic container. And the last was making eco-friendly pens using paper. Now Netra will present.
My activity was making paper bags. About 40% plastic is used in stores for packing and carrying goods. All those bags are single-use plastic. To replace those bags, we made paper bags from old newspapers. Paper bags are easily degradable, cost-effective, and can be made at home.
Thank you, Netra. Now the next activity, Shivam will present.
My activity was using banana leaves for wrapping. The amount of plastic wrap that is produced annually is enough to wrap around the equator 10 times. The world produces more than 40 million US tons of plastic foam each year. This can be avoided by using banana leaves for wrapping vegetables and fruits, for keeping in grocery stores as well as refrigerators. Banana leaves are long, flexible, and have waxy layer on them, which increases shelf life of food items. Here you can see I am packaging the vegetables in banana leaf and right side the packages of vegetables. My next activity was using dining plates made of banyan leaves. Nowadays, almost in every public functions, we use disposable plastic plates. Traditionally in India, people use plates made up of banyan leaves and even banana leaves. We can make these plates whenever necessary. These plates can be sun-dried and used all year around.
Thank you, Shivam. Now, Pranali Shinde will present the next activity.
My activity was stitching and using cotton bags. Single-use plastic bag need to be replaced. I stitch cotton bag at home. We are using at home. Also, I distributed some bags to my neighbors. I used the leftover cloth which was not suitable for stitching a dress. These bags can be used for long time washing periodically. These bags are eco-friendly, convenient to use and cost effective. My next activity was making eco-friendly bouquet. Lot of plastic is used for making bouquets and making showpieces for decorating houses. We tried and made an eco-friendly bouquet with paper flowers and coconut skin. These bouquets last longer and can be used for wishing someone or decorating houses.
Thank you, Pranali Shinde. Now, the next activity, Pranali Kapre will present. Are you there, Pranali? Okay. Our next activity was house gardening. Up to 500 million plastic plant pots are ending up in landfills or incineration plants every year. This means millions of pots are likely to be left to decompose in waste sites. So instead of plastic pots, we can use earthen pots, empty containers, or ceramic pots. I tried to use bamboo as replacement for plastic pots for planting small saplings. Bamboo is biodegradable and durable, so it can be used in nurseries also. Now, Siddhi will present the next activity. Siddhi, our next activity was poster making for community awareness. We wanted to spread a word about what we can do to reduce and eliminate use of single-use plastic. As a drawing student, we decided to make posters. One picture works for 1,000 words. Even people who can't read and write can understand the message given in the pictures. Posters are attractive and catch attention. We plan to conduct poster making activity with my friends once the school is reopened. Here are some drawings which we have made to create awareness among the people. We put our posters on the walls of medical and general stores. Now, the next activity, Shivam will present.
My next activity was using wheat straw to replace plastic straws. More than 500 million plastic straws are used annually across the globe. That's nearly 2 millions every minute. Size of plastic straws make it difficult to reuse it and also to collect as garbage. So most of the times we find plastic straws scattered here and there. For this reason, I tried using dried wheat sticks as a straw. Dried fish sticks are hollow inside and can be used as straw. It is biodegradable and easily available in summer. We can clean and store the wheat straws for the rest of the year.
Thank you, Shivam. Now, Varun will present the next activity.
My activity was making paper pens. About 1.6 billion disposable pens are thrown away by citizens of a good developed country every year. It means lot of plastic is thrown which is either difficult to pick up. We made pen using old newspaper. You can change the refill of this pen. These pens are light in weight and can be distributed to your friends as a birthday gift.
Thank you, Varun. Now, Netra will present.
Recommendations and practical tips. Apart from what we have discussed so far, we would like to recommend following tips for better future. It's never too late to take action. Be the change you want to see in others. Small things matter a lot, so don't underestimate your efforts. Try and use products packed in cardboard. Use reusable bottles for drinking water. Use matches instead of disposable plastic lighters. Use cloth diapers to, to reduce your baby's carbon footprint and save money. Spread a word about hazards of using plastic.
Next steps and ways to connect. We are going to organize a school campaign to reduce the use of single-use plastic. We plan to amplify student voice by conducting rallies and street plays. We have registered with Take Action Global and will be taking part in all future projects. We are going to work with Plastic Brigade of Manuela, Korea for reducing plastic pollution on local level and creating awareness on regional and global levels. On behalf of Maharashtra Education Society's Waglia High School, India, we would like to extend our special thanks to Cohen Timers and Jennifer Williams for giving us such an amazing opportunity to share this international platform with students from 10 different countries. As Dr. Jennifer says, climate change is an ideal topic that motivated all of us to cross tangible borders of countries to unite. So let's join our hands together for making our own earth a better place to everyone. We together can do it. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you so much.
Hello.
I promote.
Yeah.
Outstanding job with your students. Thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Okay. That's for the activities that they could do it at their homes and with their neighbors. But surely once we will be back to the school, we will be all putting in the right frame of Take Action Global, and we would rather take part in all the future projects that we all are conducting. And thanks again so much to you and Cohen Timers for this great opportunity. Some of my colleagues are present here online, so I would like to thank them also for encouraging us. Manuela Korea ma'am is there, so I would like to thank her also for her great Skype session with us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. And to your outstanding group of presenters, outstanding job, and your slides were well organized, and you all are doing incredible work. I think we're all amazed by the progress you were able to make in such a short period of time with all of your inventions. A couple questions from our group, if we may share them. Pramod, maybe you could share with our group on the conditions in India with COVID-19 and how you've been able to teach your students using distance learning. I think we'd all love to hear on that.
Thank you so much to let me share the condition. Actually, we are not, and the students also very not very tech savvy, and they don't have that much resources to use. They don't even know Padlet. They don't even know Veclate, Flipgrid. Now I'm introducing them one by one, and as we are from rural area, the parents are also not so much aware. Even I told you that time that even I am not having the laptop. I'm all doing this on my Android, and students are the same is with students. We are more focusing on now connecting through audio conference, audio calls, and now we are moving towards Skype and Zoom, but the Zoom is banned in country, so Skype is the better option for us. And in near future, actually, this is the platform that I got into when the shutdown started. So now I'm my head down into this, and I'm not going to leave this. I'm going to get all my colleagues into this effort, because we already do all these things, but then the correct frame is not there. So I've already registered with Take Action Global and many other projects, and I'm very happy to have my students on international platform. They are now sharing this screen with students from 10 different countries and maybe 3-4 time zones. So it's really incredible, and it's unbelievable for their parents and for us also. So thanks a lot.
Well, they're quite gifted presenters. I think they should be doing much more of it. Congratulations to you all. We had a question from our group here, Pramod, and great to hear too about the work that you're doing and bringing some of these different connectivity tools like Wakelet. I know you do a lot with Wakelet, but bringing that to the students, and so happy that their connection stood up for us today. So they all look great, and their connection and sound was perfect. One question here from Xander, a student. How have you used COVID to spark reusing plastic? So knowing your specific interest in plastic, maybe you or any of your students might want to comment on that.
Could I get the question once again?
Sure. From Xander, how have you used COVID-19 to spark reusing plastic?
Okay. Hello. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I would suggest any of my students. Would you like to share your thoughts on this? Or it should not be like that. Only I'm talking and my students are not taking part in the conversation. I would like you, my chums, to take part in the conversation. Is there anybody who can talk on this? Hello.
So I can't got the question.
Thank you.
Okay, Jennifer, would you please? Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, so our question from Xander, if you were able to see that, with your specific interest in plastic and the wonderful projects that you were able to share with us today, how have you used COVID-19 and the recent events to spark and support your campaign for reusing plastic? Maybe you could share a little bit on that with our audience here today.
Yes, they wanted to know that how we have done all these things on the background of COVID. Like we all are locked inside the homes, and how did you manage?
Ma'am, it was difficult but not impossible. So we have so what we have done, we see our means in our nearby areas. We can't distribute this and we can distribute our projects or our paper bag to long areas, but to our neighbors and in the nearby stores we can do this. So it's not that if we can do on more we can do it on more proportion, but we can start with a little bit, and this can make the difference in the thought of our neighbors, in the thought of our storekeepers, and it will change all people's mind, and it will almost help us what we have doing and what and why we are here today. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Yash. Pramod, do any of your other students want to share?
Anybody else would like to share that how are you doing your studies and how you are coping with your lessons in these days of lockdown, as we're not going to schools and not getting the resources as you were getting in the school? How you are managing your studies? Would like to share anything, Netra?
So I will.
Okay, Netra, you are trying. Yes, just try it.
Our teachers take our lessons on audio conferencing or video conferencing, and we have books, so they are explaining and we listen and recognize it. So it and practice it again and again, so we understand. And our
Yes, go
yes,
on,
sir.
Netra, go on. Yes, go on.
And if we have any queries, we ask our teachers, and they told us.
Ma'am, this is our important year as we are in 10th standard, and it is first time when we are facing this problem. No vacations, no schools, no classes. What all we have to do is on our responsibility. So we have to be prepared for the school, because it's not that if we are getting the if we have getting the dates in lockdown, so we have to chill. No, we can use it as our vacations, or our own classes. So with the help of our teachers, we are making it possible. Also, there is so many platforms from where we can get the study material, the YouTube, and there are some apps which can be referred to this, and it's a great experience, because in these days we are going to improve ourselves. We are not we are not much depending on our teachers, so it will be helpful for all the students to improve themselves in their studies. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Jennifer, is there anything our audiences need to ask or would like to ask?
If we have any more questions from our audience here today. I may see a comment from your principal, Pramod, which is great to see. So we have some people talking about how since they've been home with COVID-19, that they're starting to see ways to reduce plastic use in their home. And so that's a good thing. Maybe if one more question here for you and your students. Now that you've been staying at home, how have you been able to reduce plastic in your home environment? This participant here sharing that it's easy to live without a lot of plastic. We used to consume no water, plastic bottles from the beginning of the school shutdown. I only use one made of clay. It's amazing as it purifies water. I know you all shared some great tips and recommendations for our participants here today, but any other advice or ways you've been reducing plastic in your home environment since the COVID-19 shutdown?
Actually, we are not allowed to go outside our houses, and even the retail shops are open for 2-3 hours, and the amount of shopping has been reduced only for the things that we hardly need. So automatically the plastic coming in the houses is reduced on a large scale, and students are using the cotton bags and paper bags that we have made for the shopping or whatever they wanted to do. Then as they are at home, they have ample of time making the plates, dinner plates from banana leaves, and even they are using banana leaves for wrapping the vegetables and whatever they wanted to store in the refrigerator. And as the activities are have cut down, a lot of activities have cut down, so there is very little chance to use plastic nowadays in this COVID-19 situation.
That's wonderful to hear. I know my friend Koen Timmers in Belgium is probably very excited to hear that and loved seeing your great inventions. The banana leaves were new for me. That was neat to see. And your ideas with bamboo, we have a backyard here in Florida filled with bamboo. So I'm going to take you up on some of your recommendations.
Surely, and the banana leaves we are using traditionally in India. For a long time we used to use it, but then for 10, actually as a child I have had my meal on that plate made of banana leaves in the public functions. But nowadays it has vanished actually, and it's a great Indian tradition that is very eco-friendly and ecological, economical. From all perspectives, we can say that that is the best. And now, as we are all going towards rural areas, because cities are now being a hotspot for COVID-19. So all are going towards the rural area, and that's what Mahatma Gandhi said. Mahatma Gandhi used to say that there is life in rural areas only, and there are a lot of practices that can be implemented in rural areas, because all these natural things are very easily available, and we can surely give a thought, and we should give a we should try it out. And now, as they have a lot of time, they can use it. They can try it.
It's great to learn about it. We have a friend, Manuela from Thailand, also saying they use banana leaves there. So that's great to hear. Yes. Well, we cannot thank you enough for all the preparations and all the work that you've done over the past 10 weeks, but particularly this week, getting prepared for this presentation. And congratulations to you and to all of your student presenters. You did just a tremendous job. So we thank you so much.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Okay, shall I tell my students to mute their microphones now?
They can, that would be great. And, but we'd love to see their videos stay on, and they're welcome to join for the rest of the sessions too. So thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Okay. So we are here at a little bit past our third session time. It looks as if our presenter had some connectivity issues, so he and his students may join in, but Nagnith, I'm just making sure you're not here, and if either any of your students are here, then please just send us a message in the chat box and we'll be sure to turn it over to you. But while we're holding for them, and then we have our next session in 20 minutes starting with Bhavna. Koen, maybe you could share a few words on the work that you've been doing with students, many of the students here today, but students all over the world for the past several years with the Climate Action Project, really coming from what Pramod and his students had just been sharing about reducing plastic maybe you could share a little bit with us and tell us what will be coming in the fall.
Okay, so this is, I'm part of the backup plan. So let me share a little bit about the Climate Action Project. So the interesting thing about climate is that it's very different in very different parts of the world. So every continent has different issues. And we believe that climate strikes are very important to give a strong signal, but we wanted to do more, basically. So we believe that by connecting students globally, that we can do so much more, that we allow our students to explore, to brainstorm, to have discussions, to have fun, to create, but also to share what they have done on their findings globally at our website. So the Climate Action Project was launched in 2017. And this year in October, you're all free to join us for 6 weeks. The first time we are going to do this in 6 weeks. And you all know that the problem basically, or maybe you don't, and that will be the best opportunity to learn more about it. But we believe in it very strongly in a student-centered approach in which the students, they are the ones who are going to take action. And that went really well during the past years. We had students from across the world, like in Germany, they did a flash mob with a famous artist. They even made national television. But also the project is for every age. We had students aged 6 until 22. And students in Colombia, they created their own prototype, their own new cars in cardboard. And we even had students working with solar panels in the US, I believe it was in Alabama. Students in high school, they created their own solar suitcase, which we shipped to an African country. So that school now has free electricity, which is quite extraordinary. And we also had students in India, they created their own solar-driven cart, which actually worked. And they also made their own bioplastics. And if you Google for bioplastics recipe, you will find that you can create your own bioplastics. So who knows? I didn't know that, and I think that's really, really extraordinary. But we made a lot of more impact. Due to the project last year, students and teachers in Malawi in Africa, they started to plant their own trees. And then the president heard of this project and gave his support, and they are now planting 60 million trees in Malawi, which I think it's really mind-blowing. But also in Ireland, they were able to invite the Minister of Environment to the classroom, and they were able to bring change in government with the Green Dots movement. In Indonesia, they created eco bricks. In Canada, they 3D printed coral reefs, and they made editable water bubbles. And today I published the recipe to do that and how to do that procedure on the website of Climate Action. I will share it later. And in Peru, they went on a march, which was extraordinary because they did it before there were actually global marches, the Fridays for Future. But also some devastating stories, like those students in Sierra Leone, for them, it was really, really tough to join this project. And they sent pictures, not even able to send videos. They sent pictures on WhatsApp to me. And 2 of those students died due to the mud flows, which is part of climate change, which is one of those effects. So that's really bad news as well. But those students, they were able to share their voice to the rest of the students across the world. And by watching each other's videos and pictures, they knew what was happening. In Vietnam, they were recycling and planting trees as well. Lots of trees were planted during those weeks. In Greece, they went to the government, and in Egypt, the students came during 4 weeks of summer holiday. So they were not actually planned to come to school, but they did because they insisted to be part of this project. What will we do in 2020? Like last year, we had 100,000 students This year we aim to go for 500,000. But yesterday I heard that probably every teacher in Malawi will join the project, which is 2 or 3 million teachers. And we will have the same scenario in states or countries like Ireland, Australia, and several other parts of the world. And we will have some really, really cool challenges for you. Last year we did Plant Ed. The name was invented by Jennifer. The ed is from education. And what we thought about is like, how about making students really taking action and creating a real change? And what we asked students from across the world to do is planting trees. And I know it's not the best season, October, for every country, but still we managed to plant 1.1 million trees during 3 single weeks across 65 different countries. And we plan to do 2 more challenges this year, the 7.5 and the Message to Mars. Jennifer, what do you think? You want to do a spoiler?
I say go for it.
I say you do it.
I say you do it. You gotta go there.
Why don't you do the 7.5?
Okay.
I will share the NASA.
Okay, that sounds great. So we, Kuhn and I are always dreaming big and inspired by all of you teachers and students, and thinking on ways that we can share out projects, but also different initiatives that take us across boundaries of countries, and also, as some of you were able to see in the past few weeks, beyond our planet of Earth and out to Mars. So we have 2 new ideas that will be coming in the fall of this year, and we'd love your feedback. We'd love your support. We've had so many extraordinary teachers that have joined us for the Goals Project, and for the Climate Action Project, and for this project, Take Action Project. So we have one that will be coming up in the fall called 7.5, and it was inspired by the work that we did at the beginning of the Take Action Project, and just having students do 7.5 minutes of service or taking action, and then finding ways to record that. So are those actions related to environmental justice? Are those actions related to social inclusion? And marking those. And what we found is, and when we were doing the Goals Project, and Ayush Chopra had talked about, every little step collectively can add up to large change. And so we feel like with all of our 7.5 minutes of action together, we can create hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of minutes and hours worth of change. So we hope that you'll join with us in this. We're very excited about it, and we'll have more information coming very soon. But Kuhn will share we're really excited about this next project.
So what we discovered to make some real impact, because we want to make more impact than just between the classrooms, you know. It would be really powerful if we can change mindset and behavior of our parents, and basically everybody in our communities and society as well. And so what we made sure was that your teacher and you as a student, that what you have been doing, making sure that that was on the media, like on newspapers and television, that was really powerful, but also by making sure that our project was endorsed by famous people, like including the Dalai Lama, Jane Goodall, the Princess Kumi Naidoo. He's the director of Amnesty International. By making powerful partnerships, that we were really able to go to the next level. And when we were having a discussion with NASA, I really loved that part, Jen. But when I was speaking with them, and Rick is head of the Mars mission, and you know, people at NASA, they are really, really smart. So when I was having a chat with them, I was quite impressed. And every meeting we are having with them, it always gets better, basically. And so we came up with an idea for the Message to Mars. So For everybody who will join us with the Climate Action Project in October, and when you sign up, you will be able to do two extraordinary things. First of all, you will be able to have a live chat with astronauts in space. So not in the US, not in anywhere, no, it's outside our own Earth, so in the International Space Center. So you will be able to ask them some questions. And even more extraordinary is that your drawings, your solutions, we will make sure that those will be sent to Mars. So I think when I heard that, I was like, wow. And that is what we try to do, basically. We want to give you opportunities. We want to make learning interesting, engaging. So be prepared. Make it a huge and a nice prototype, or something smart or something beautiful, something what is you, and we will make sure that that will be sent outside Earth, so to Mars. And these are some pictures. I noticed that Ilham is here as well. Ilham also planted trees, but it was really beautiful to see that in every part of the world, people were planting trees, which is crucial to make the world a better place, basically. Yeah. So, in case you want to join us, there's still time to do that. You can go to climate-action.info, and we will be in touch. And we will guide you. There will be ambassadors this year as teachers. There will be amplifiers and facilitators. You will be guided if this is new for you. And Jen and I will do our best to make this a really nice, heartwarming story for you and your students. And we will send you weekly updates, like how to deal with this and what you have to do for that particular week. We will also have some experts during webinars, like we had Celine Cousteau, Matt from WWF, Rick from NASA, and other people to share their wisdom and their knowledge and expertise. And you will be able to ask them questions as well. Okay. Jen, over to you.
Super excited. And as Koen mentioned, we've had these wonderful partners in WWF helping us look at the local environment, and NASA helping us take it out of this world, to the universe, and the work they're doing with getting us to Mars, and them kind of opening our eyes when we presented to them our plan for the Take Action Project. And we were really excited because we said, we're going to be able to take these students on an inquiry adventure from looking at levels of self, which you all have done, moving out to past the walls of the school to the local environment, and then thinking big to the planet. And I guess we weren't thinking big enough at that point, because Rick from NASA said, well, you need to go bigger than that. You need to think about the universe, and you need to think about what we're learning from Mars and how that impacts climate. And I think Koen and I continue to be a little bit speechless when we have our calls with them, but we were like, yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And then on our most recent calls, Koen just shared when we said, what can we do next? And they said, well, why don't we have your students send messages to Mars? And we were like, yeah, we're in. So we're really excited for that kind of dreams come true for us. So that'll be you all being able to participate in that and share your paintings, your drawings, or your stories and ideas for the future coming up. And then we might even get a message back from Mars, is what we heard. So that'll be the next step in what that could look like. So we have our next presenters, also from India, and Bhavna is here with her two students. I'll share a little bit about her presentation. So Ronit and Kashish will be sharing with us today. And I know, Bhavna, you and your students are on. Maybe we'll have you start a little bit early, because our presentation after you with our friends from Poland, they have about 20 students that will be joining to present. So I'll share a little bit about this presentation. So Bhavna and her two students will be sharing their presentation titled Spreading Awareness. And the students will present their research and their understandings of the work in the Take Action project. So Bhavna's been a wonderful friend to us at Take Action Global, and she's been facilitating and guiding groups of students around the world. So we're really excited to have her here with us today. So Bhavna, are you able to share your screen and your mic, and then I will get Kashish all set up here on co-host privileges. Okay, it looks like we have you both on. Did we lose Bhavna? She might have lost connection. Could maybe let's pause for just a minute. Everybody can take a break, and then I have a message from a teacher here. I'll address that, and then we'll come back on for Bhavna. So stay with us, everybody. We'll be back in about 3 to 5 minutes, and we'll see you soon. Great to see you, Xander. Xander, you've joined for, I think, all of our webinars this month, haven't you? Yeah, great. Any big takeaways? Just got a message from our teacher, Bhavna. She is reconnecting, so she'll be back on shortly. Yes, from Miss Fliss. So, and let me see, let me make Xander turn. Xander, are you able to turn your own volume on? I don't think so, right? Let me help. There we go. How about now?
Yeah.
Great, nice to see you. I know you've always been adding lots of questions in our chat box. Any feedback or ideas that you took away from any of our previous webinars?
On the NASA one, I feel like that NASA one relates to COVID because it's you're trapped in the same area as other people for a long period of time, and that's kind of forcing a spark to happen between the two people or multiple people.
Julia, if you want to come on too, that'd be great. What a great thought, Xander.
Love that. Yeah, that's a great thought. So I'm hearing that you're making a parallel between what it would be like to live in space or even live on Mars in a small space and have to work collectively to make sure that every small action that you take on yourself, you elaborate a little bit more?
Yes.
Fantastic. Can I ask you what maybe you learned from this morning in addition to the webinar from NASA and the WWF webinar before? Is there something you would like to share about the plastic presentation or the presentation from Thailand?
What's really cool is how how each group, they find a local problem, but yet that local problem can still be a problem somewhere else. So now because they're living in that problem, let's say for Colorado, we have a lot of forests and we want to keep those forests because they're beautiful. So maybe some other places have forests and they're like, oh, that's a really smart idea. And so now you can spread the knowledge.
It must be early there,
Love
Xander.
that personalized action, right?
Yeah.
What time is it there, Xander?
It's 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. And you've been on since what time?
4 in the morning.
That's commitment, Miss Fliss. I think you've sparked some
Yes.
some excitement in your students there in Colorado.
Definitely. We're very honored to be here and excited for all of the learning and to be part of such an amazing global community.
Well, Xander, we're looking forward to your presentation later this afternoon. So thanks for being with us through all of it. All right, I'm going to do a check-in to see how Bhavna's connectivity is doing. Kashish, are you able to hear me? I know you're a student in Bhavna's class, Miss Matthews' class.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great, wonderful, welcome. We're so excited to hear from you. I'm going to check in with your teacher really fast and then hopefully we'll go ahead and get started. And thanks to Julia and Xander
Okay,
for
sure.
popping in. Kashish, are you able to or interested in going ahead and sharing before the rest of your team joins in, or would you like to hold for them?
I think I would like to hold for them because like this present be using with my work.
That sounds great. Fantastic. Thank you for being here and holding. Xander, can I pull you in for another question while we're waiting? Maybe you and Kashish could share. I'd love to hear the conditions. And I have what I feel like this great honor every day when I'm able to, and I know Kuhn feels this way as well, join in video calls just like this with people from around the world. So I can be talking to someone in Singapore, and then someone in Turkey, and then someone in Tanzania, and hearing what is happening in their local environments and in their countries with the response to COVID-19. So it's always so interesting for me to hear the status of what it's like where everyone's at. I was on a call last week with a group of 5 students in South Korea, and they had only had recently 20 new positive tests. So they were preparing to get ready to go back to school and start life back again. So I'd love to hear maybe what it's like in Colorado. Anyone that's joining outside of the United States is really interested in the United States because we're operating state by state. And so what's happening with me here in Florida is probably very different than what's happening there in Colorado. If you'd be interested in sharing, we'd love to hear what is it like there? What's been happening with school? What are you thinking is going to come in the next few months based on what you're hearing by your trusted experts there?
Current status for us is that we're not going back to school till 7th grade. So that was a shock when I heard it, but I mean, we're starting to get through it. I mean, I'm still talking to all my friends. I mean, we're making it through pretty well. It's the thought is always in the back of your mind that anything could really happen. Because if I looked last night, I was looking back in the beginning of the year and thinking on how maybe some of us would say like, I don't want school to happen. And now I'm thinking how it's not happening, and a lot of us are like, I want school back so bad. So it's making us realize what we have and what we wish we still had.
I know it's interesting for me here. I have 3 of my own kids, and all different ages. One's at the university level, one is a high school student, and one's my youngest is a middle school student like you. And they're like, my daughter is on all day and doing her work. My middle child, my high school student, he like checks in, and then my university student more doing like papers and tests. But I think they're all feeling that same way, and that before it was like, oh, I got to get up and go to school, and now it's like, I only wish I could be back with my classmates. So interesting to hear how it is there in Colorado. Kashish, would you be interested in sharing what it's like compared to Xander's experience in Colorado with how it is there for you all in India? And I know Pramod shared a little bit. Maybe you could share on your experience.
I'm pretty sure that we're all going through the same thing because even here we're having online school as well. Like even we're going to join back in the next, going to be joining back in the 8th grade. The school has closed completely, even for the summer vacations now. So we will not be meeting. And it was, of course, a bit of a shock to me that we left so early when we just started our semester 2 of 7th grade, and it was a bit of a shock, but I feel like our school has taken a very good decision to shut off immediately, instead of compared to some of the other schools that have that had taken this decision just a little late, and it might have affected some of the students in the school as well, which could have affected their families as well. So it's a good decision that they had taken, and obviously I am upset that the school is over. Like, I really wish for it to be back now because it's kind of boring at home, but still, I feel like I'm coping pretty well and we're doing very well.
I love to hear that. I've been seeing with my own children, and then even some of my former students and my children's friends, that they too kind of have this feeling of boredom that they hadn't felt before, and that they had, when they were in school, it was constant going to school and then having after school activities and tutoring or piano or sports, and then could be many hours of homework. And so now they're finding themselves bored, which I'm seeing is moving them into this new world of creativity. And so they're starting to paint their driveways and color their hair and paint their bedroom doors and make videos. Xander or Kashish, should be interesting to hear, are you all seeing the same thing with this concept of creativity, and maybe your opinions on that, and maybe some advice for teachers on how we could learn from that and take that into our classrooms when we return back next year?
So even out here, I've been doing a lot of creative stuff. So what our teachers have come up with, that instead of giving assignments that are just questions and you have to answer them and then you have to just give the paper back and you'll be graded on it, because we still having graded assignments, they have figured out more creative ways, different websites to actually try to indulge us in more creative activities. For example, in our language and literature classes, we are making advertisements in our own home. So we're going to be advertising some corona and some products of our own that we have, I mean a prototype basically, and we have to advertise that and create a sales pitch. So that improves, that comes under a lot of our curriculum, and it's very creative as well, which helps us a lot and covers our free time as well.
Xander, have you seen any examples of creativity in your network of friends, like Kashish is sharing? Anything you want to jump in and share with us? We'd love to hear.
Yes. In my group of friends, there's a lot of strange things we've done. I know that we've all been like I know that one day we said that we have to work in our shower for a full day. I did that. But in my neighborhood,
So can I pause you there? You sat in your shower and worked from your shower on your schoolwork? Totally creative.
In my neighborhood and city, Evergreen, everyone's like putting hearts on whatever like they can find. So I have hearts along like my entire windows. And there's just giant ones. There's also posters just thanking people that are working to help COVID. Some people are just like giving out books and board games. It's a really tight community now. And with my friends, we've all been painting and that stuff, and really thinking about what we can do to help and what is possible.
Kind of having that time to, and I know you do a lot of that in your class with Ms. Fliss, but having that time to just reflect and think about what, like you said, what is possible. And I think it's been extraordinary to see how we as a world have come together. Like never before have we seen everyone going through the same experience at one time, but in their own ways. So it's really interesting to hear from you both on that. One other question for you, and then we'll do a little search here. I don't see Bob not on yet. You know, that's another thing we had talked about with our teachers and our presenters. There was concern, and Pramod had mentioned this in his session with connectivity, and when I started doing global work many years ago, and I know Kuhn was the same, it was so hard to find a school that had connection and reliable Wi-Fi. And now we're able to jump on Instagram and find a class to talk to. And we're all able to come and join together here today in Zoom. But we're really still facing so many connectivity issues. And sound is going to go out and video might go out, but we just go on and we figure it out. So we're all here together, and thank you all for staying with us. But one more question I had for you both, and any other students that want to jump in. When I was meeting with the group of students from South Korea last week, they were sharing on their new schedule. So before, when they went to school from 8 to 9, they would have language. From 9 to 10, they would have math. From 10 to 11, they would do science. And so it was just kind of lockstep every day. And what they were finding now is that their teachers were giving them flexible work schedules. So maybe over the course of a week, they needed to complete this many tasks in math, and they maybe needed to join for a live lab for science or write a research paper. Are you all finding that flexibility in scheduling? And kind of the same question around creativity, how do you think we as teachers can learn from that as we move back into the classrooms? And is it something where you would want to go back to the old ways of very scheduled classes? Or is it something where we as teachers can kind of give up that ownership to you all as students? So we'd love to hear any thoughts on that. Looks like Xander has some ideas. Go ahead, buddy.
Yes. The flexible schedule. I've been waking up at 5:30 every morning and doing my schoolwork. And I really enjoy. So if I feel like there's a question I have about science, I'm like, okay, I can just go onto my chat and ask about it. Instead of during other classes, I have to be like, okay, I have to wait for this certain class to go ask about this class. It's more like what a nice thing to have during school would be like, you have to at least do an hour of each class, but you can go to a class whenever you want, and maybe you can switch your periods up. So if you ever feel like you need to go somewhere, you have the opportunity to go ask questions and feel free to ask that question about that class.
Hi, Kashish. Kashish, we can see you now. That's great. You want to share too on Xander's comment?
Yeah, so even I feel like the same thing. It gets a little harder when the teacher is talking right in front of you and then everybody's just jumping in with that. So it feels like you push to kind of the back of the room where you're trying to ask a question and then the teacher is going with the lesson. You just like, okay, maybe I can just like do it later. I'll ask them later at the end of the class. And then it just never comes. But right now the chat is very useful. But also I feel that on Zoom meetings at times, it becomes too much like a lecture. Like, I mean, in a class setting where you could indulge in a lot more creative activities like puzzles, words, things like that. Over on Zoom meetings, it gets a little bit like the teacher just talking and talking and talking and talking. So maybe we could have like some different activities in the middle of the lessons, or try to use some group activities, because right now we're all doing individual activities since we're not there together.
Well, that's a good point. And it's in using technology to connect and collaborate can be challenging, but also fun to kind of figure it out, right? Kashish, you mentioned puzzles and games, maybe hands-on activities, experiments, any other things that you love doing with your classmates that you could share on?
I mean, like in our classes, we do a lot of group work, which like enhances our teamwork as well. So it's a lot of fun to be just in a group to just toss ideas around. Like, you know, you could do this, you can do this. If we're making like a group project together, like a working model for like our science lessons, then we could just toss ideas around. Maybe we can do it like this, maybe we can do it like that. But then on this kind of a platform, it's kind of hard to toss the idea around without interrupting the teacher and what she is saying. So it does get a little different. It is obviously different. But we are coping up with it very well. Though we should have more group activities. That would be fun.
I love that. Well, thank you, Kashish, for jumping in and sharing with us today. So it looks like your teacher, Bhavna, was not able to get back connected, which is totally okay. We will find a way to make sure that we share on the work that you've done to prepare for today's session.
I feel like I can start my, I could start with my speech right now. It's like, maybe we could just cover up my part and then my teammates could do it later.
We would love that.
Yeah,
and we have
a little longer than I thought it would.
That's okay. We have a whole group of teachers that are here to support you too. So go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Yeah. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. The Sustainable Development Goals are those that were adopted by the United Nations member states in 20. These goals aim at targeting and ending important issues of the world, such as ending world poverty, ending world hunger, and protecting the planet so all people can enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. We all know the shocking and astounding facts surrounding these issues, yet we on a personal level don't really do anything about them. I would have been a time every one of us we would just dislike some food and then thrown it away, just shrugging a shoulder. Well, did you know that there are over 9.1 million people dying of starvation every year? There are so many of our actions that affect the world, and the most upsetting part is most of us know these habits are wrong, but we continue to do them. One example is the usage of cigarettes. Everybody knows the negative health effects of cigarettes on themselves. It's on themselves. Even the packaging has gruesome images of what it can do to the human lungs. Yet, so many people still continue to smoke. And do you know why they still continue? These people continue because it is convenient for them. It is much more convenient and much easier to just continue with the habit rather than even attempting to fight it. Each of our actions count. It is our responsibility to make them count for the greater good. I am only a 13-year-old, but even I have come to realize the kind of world that the previous generation has left for us, the next generation. And this is only a residue of what you all got to enjoy as a child. I must wear a mask when I go out of my air-purified house because I am afraid of the toxic air. I am not able to go out in the sun for long durations of time because of the holes in the ozone layer. I am afraid of what will become of the world in the next 20 years, let alone what kind of world my grandchildren will live in 60 years later. But I know that we can come together and bring change in the world. We still have a chance, and we can still make this planet a better place for the future generations. Now, this must be sounding like a fantasy tale, one that has come out of children's fairy tale, the perfect world where everyone lives happily ever after. But no, we can make this perfect world our reality. We can bring about the changes that these Sustainable Development Goals have set for us. And how do I know that? A few months ago, this would have just been a figment of my imagination. Now, all around us, we can see proof. We all, on a global platform, are on lockdown and quarantined away in our homes. We can't move out, and now we are relying on technology to get by with our daily lives. But outside your house, have you seen what nature is doing? Have you thought about how life is like when humans aren't there? Let us see what is happening. I'll just share my screen. One second. So this is the coast of Mumbai, where we have actually seen the return of whales, where there used to be so many ships there. and now the animals are coming back to their natural habitats. Then we have in Kerala, where we are seeing elephants out on the street roaming around. One second.
Up with the aquarium fire have starting into town to Smil. Surprised residents of Chile's capital, Santiago, when it came down from nearby mountains. And Peru.
So the beaches of Peru have been over by all. So as you can see, nature is thriving very well without us or our interference. One of the dirtiest flowing rivers in India, the